Hi everybody, what you're watching here is a video capture that I did of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. But this is PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds being played on my old laptop using the GeForce Now video game, PC game streaming feature. And I tell you what, I haven't been this excited about PUBG for a long time. Now, it won't come across great in this particular video because I was capturing the content at only 30 frames a second, but hopefully what you, I think only 720p, but hopefully what you can see is that when you look down you can see all the trees all rendered in and all the buildings all rendered in, which is pretty amazing. When you play on PlayStation or you play on Xbox, you just don't get that, because what you're seeing here is a remote PC playing PUBG on ultra settings, and then I'm playing it, you know, on my crappy old laptop. And I tell you what, this is pretty good. It seemed pretty good. Now, I you know me, I don't get into many gunfights, but in the game previous to this, I got into a gunfight and I won a gunfight. And in this game, right at the end, I got into a gunfight and then got killed by another guy coming through the. I think he was coming out of the blue or something like that. So you know. The input lag that you might be worried about doesn't seem to be as much as an issue as I thought it might be. Now, the other thing is that I'm playing this using my Xbox controller plugged into my laptop, so I've got the familiar controls. You've probably seen my videos on Armour using GeForce Now, and I was kind of moaning the fact that it's really difficult because you're trying to use your keyboard and mouse. But as with PUBG, when you play on console, PlayStation or Xbox, there's no aim assist. Sure, you're at a disadvantage when you're using a controller on PC, but it's doable. I think it's doable. Plus, when you're playing standard battle royale PUBG, it's more about positioning and listening out and all that sort of stuff. Another cool thing is if you look in the top left hand corner, you might just be able to see it where it has my ping. My ping goes between 10 and 20 milliseconds, which is really good. That is really good. Now, this is the reason for that is because the servers for GeForce Now that you're playing on are located, in my case, because I'm in the UK, are located in Western Europe, which probably means they're in Germany. And with PUBG, as the player base has kind of contracted, you know, they don't have servers all over the place, so you'll probably find that the Nvidia servers that run the GeForce Now service are probably in Germany too, so they're closer to the PUBG servers than I am. So then all I've got is the lag between me and those servers. So you're probably now thinking, if you haven't heard of, what is GeForce Now? So GeForce Now is a service that enables you to play high-end PC games on low-end PC hardware. So for example, I'm playing PUBG on my old laptop, which is like 4 years old, 5 years old, doesn't have dedicated graphics on it. It's got onboard graphics, can't play games like anywhere near like PUBG ever, let alone on ultra settings. And what GeForce Now is, basically and you can play it for free. There's a free service at the moment. You're limited to play for an hour, I think, before it disconnects you. But what GeForce Now is, in effect, you're renting an Nvidia high-end gaming gaming PC that's in Germany, for example. It's sitting there, and you're renting that for the time you're playing. And this is the really clever bit: your Steam games on it. Because with GeForce Now for Nvidia, you're not buying games off Nvidia. All you're doing is you're playing the games that are already in your Steam library. And the beauty of this, and if you're thinking, well, what's Steam? Well, Steam is like the Xbox store or the PlayStation store for PC. There are other ones for PC, but Steam is the main one. And so Nvidia is just allowing you to play those games on their service. So if, for example, GeForce Now failed and Nvidia said, oh, we're shutting this down, we're not making enough money, shutting it down, it wouldn't matter. You'd still own all your games on Steam. So I'm sure there'll be other streaming platforms coming along when people see how good this is, how much fun it is, and how well it works, which is the amazing thing. Now, the other thing I did was with the PUBG gameplay, I did actually later on turn down the settings from ultra. I turned them down to high, I think, which is the one down, just to get the frame rate up a little bit. It was probably chugging along at least 30 frames a second, but when you play it on the lower setting, it was definitely, well, I say lower, high, it was definitely chugging along at like 50 to 60 frames a second. And in the chase for better quality PC games and video games, you know, we talk about 4K. In fact, this is where I do it now, so let's jump on ahead. We talk about the chase for 4K and more resolution. Oh, this is where I'm trying to shoot a hang glider. But honestly, it's all about the frames a second. And on console, PUBG tends to chug along at 30 frames a second, no matter what, and even less. And it was a real pleasure to play it on my TV, because I've got the HDMI tagged up to the TV, at like 60 frames a second, which is the maximum my TV can go at. And it just brings all that more immersion to the game. And the fact that you can go to first person, you can go into the settings, and you can make the first person point of view a lot bigger. You know, you can make it 100 degrees. I think you can go up to 103 degrees, can't you, on consoles? You can go even bigger on this service, but it doesn't tank the frame rate the way it does in consoles. Oh, so yeah, so very, very excited. It kind of, I mean, I've played PUBG on my son's computer quite a few times, and he's got a super duper gaming computer. You know, it runs at like 140 frames a second, you know, at 1080p. And you know that definitely felt better than this, but this definitely felt better than the PlayStation and the Xbox. I was very, very impressed indeed. Also, what you're meant to do is you're meant to have your laptop or your PC connected up to your router or your modem with a LAN cable, but my laptop has this rather strange bug in it where it'll only stay connected to a LAN cable for about 5 minutes, then it goes, whoa, I've had enough, I'm going on to Wi-Fi, and it shuts down the LAN and you go onto Wi-Fi. It only seems to do it when it's under a lot of duress, like when it's playing games. So there's obviously something wrong with the power on it or something, I don't know. But anyway, I'm playing this on Wi-Fi as well, you know, and it's very snappy. It feels really good. Again, this won't be coming across in this footage because the footage is captured at 30 frames a second, not 60 frames a second. But I've been very, very impressed indeed. So I would recommend anybody, if you fancy playing PUBG or any other PC games, download GeForce now. What you do is, it's not compatible with every single game on every single service like Steam or Uplay and all that sort of stuff. But a lot of the games are, so you can just search for the game you want to play, that you thought I'd always want to play that, and then you can add that to your library, your GeForce Now library. It doesn't mean you own it, you've still got to buy it. So for example, with PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, I had to own it in Steam in order to be able to play it using GeForce Now. Oop, go away. But you can pick up, if you look up for, I think CD Keys is a place where you can get like cheap Steam keys for games. I think that's where I got mine from. And then you can be playing and give it a go. I say give it a go for free to test whether it's going to be alright in your system. What you want to do is you want to download GeForce Now, and then you want to open up a Steam account, and you want to buy Destiny 2. In fact, I mean, you don't buy it because it's free but it's free to play, and that's got really good controller support as well, and so you can have a go with it, see how it feels, and then if you think, oh yeah, that's really cool, I fancy having a go at say PUBG or some of the other compatible games, you can go for it. So yeah, so there we go. What's PUBG like to play on GeForce Now? Well, so far seems pretty good. Oh, actually, there is one thing I wanted to talk about before I went, and that was the fact that PUBG on PC is a different beast to the console version. The sound is more immersive, obviously the graphics are better, but the big problem for console players is the recoil. There is loads of more recoil in the gun, so you've really got to hang on to them. They really jump up, and it's quite hard to control recoil using a thumbstick on a controller. It's much easier on a mouse with a big mouse pad where you can draw it down when you're firing. So bear that in mind as well. It is definitely a more challenging game, and PUBG's got the problem that all all shooters have over time, multiplayer shooters, is that as the player base shrinks, the people left playing tend to be the better players, so you're encountering good players an awful lot more. Anyway, that's enough from me. Check out Halo 2 for free using GeForce Now, or maybe if you've already got PUBG on Steam but you haven't got a current gaming setup, or maybe you bought it on Steam, downloaded it, and your current setup wouldn't play it very well, download GeForce Now for free, give it a go, see what you think. Anyway, I'll put a link to GeForce Now in the description below the video. Put your questions and comments down there below, and I'll tell you what, I'll see you again soon, and what I'll do is let's go to the end where I can get involved in a firefight. Alright, I've just killed him. Here we go. Doing my normal creeping along the edge. Here we go. Recoil. Nice. I was so chuffed to get that kill. But then there's someone to my right. It's because I shouldn't. You don't loot, do you, late game? What do? I loot. And then... Dead. So, there it is. PUBG on GeForce Now. Playing a high-end PC game on a low-end laptop. Check it out. It's really cool.